It's time now for Community Matters, a public affairs program brought to you by MountainPlex Media. We talk about things that matter to you. Our guest this morning is Butch Mansfield. Butch is chairperson for the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. If you have any questions or comments on the program, you can contact MountainPlex Media at WMTD@mountainplex.com. We'll be back to talk to Butch right after this.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough. But if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
It'd be great if life came with a remote control. You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. But prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
And we're back. Good Sunday morning, everybody. Today's June 30th, 2024. This is the last Sunday in June. And you are listening to Community Matters. We're talking about things that matter to you. My name's Kathy St. John, and this morning we are talking to Butch Mansfield. Butch is a man with a lot of titles. So, Butch Mansfield, give us all your titles.
All right. Thank you for having me here this morning. I'm currently the fire chief with Pipestem Volunteer Fire Department and also the vice president with the Pipestem State Park Foundation. On the Summers County Fire Board, also a member of the Summers County Firefighters Association and chair of the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee.
So we're going to start with that this morning. Butch Mansfield, chair on the committee, the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. What in the world does that committee do, the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee?
Well, the primary thing we do is we try to identify the dilapidated and rundown structures that are here within the Summers County. We make recommendations to our county commission on what should be done with those properties.
How did somebody come up one day and said, hey, we need a committee for dilapidated structures? How did this whole thing get started?
The way this got started out was several years ago. I think it was around 2012. West Virginia legislature enacted a section of code to allow county commissions to form dilapidated structure committees in order to identify, the properties and recommendations for what should be done with these properties that need to be taken down or need to be be cleaned up or repaired. And that was enacted through a actual section of the code. I think it was Chapter 7 of West Virginia State Code at that time. And then in 2012, Summers County Commission approved an ordinance developing the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. And that ordinance was enacted in February of 2012.
I'm just curious, do surrounding counties have a same kind of committee?
They do. We've actually been in contact with the committees in Raleigh, Mercer, Greenbrier County, our surrounding counties and stuff. Some of these counties their committees have been in effect a little bit longer than ours. Ours initially started, we had a committee that was formed in 2012, right after the ordinance was passed. But due to lack of funding for the committee, everything, that was disbanded a few years later. Our Commissioner Kula here in 2022 decided to try to get the Dilapidated Structure Committee resurrected here in the county, and it was reformed, and we've been working now for the past 2 years on getting funding and getting all of our processes and procedures and everything in place, and we're moving forward with this.
You think the New River Gorge National Park and Preserve had anything to do with this resurrection of the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee?
I think it probably did. Plus, we have that, and we have our state parks and all the tourism that we have here in this county with the rivers and everything that we've got going. We have a tremendous amount of potential in this county, and I think that with the National Park Service, with the New River Gorge National River, I think it's just it's an incentive for us to, work on bringing more folks into this area, our tourists, actually cleaning everything up for the folks that live in this county, and opening it up. Hopefully we'll have more people that come into this area. Nicer we can make it look, I think, the better benefits we have for the entire county.
So this committee, it's a county committee, but do you work with the city of Hinton?
Actually, the city of Hinton has their own Dilapidated Structures Committee. We are actually two separate committees. We work together some. We do have interaction with each other. But the city of Hinton concentrates primarily on the buildings and properties within the city limits. The Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee, we deal with everything outside of the city limits within the county itself. Our procedures are a little bit different, setup is a little bit different, but we work closely with members of the city committee also.
So we are talking with Butch Mansfield. He's a member of the committee, the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. So, Butch, now that we know that it's just structures outside of the city of Hinton city limits, what is the method to getting a house torn down? Say, I know my neighbors, they're dead and gone, and this house has just sat there and it's dilapidated. What do I do? Okay,
we do have a procedure that we go through. There's a form that can be obtained through the Summers County Courthouse or through the Summers County government website. If you have a property that needs attention like that, you can file that complaint, and that will come to the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. Once we receive that official complaint, then we will send our county engineer out to investigate the property, take a look at it, and see whether it needs to be demolished, taken completely down, or if it needs major repair, minor repair, or if it just the property needs to be cleaned of debris or trash or anything like that. Once he comes back to the committee, he will bring his recommendations back. The committee will review it, and we will vote actually on whether to add that property to the dilapidated properties list. We maintain a list of these properties and everything, and assign a case number to them. Once that's completed, then we send out a courtesy letter to the property owner. That just informs them that, the property has been identified with some issues, and we will give them an opportunity to reply back to us with a plan of action of what they can do themselves in order to correct the problem with it. There is also a formal hearing portion of the policy and stuff that if they disagree or whatever, they can appeal this or, go to the county commission and request a hearing on it. If the hearing is requested, then the county commission has a certain amount of days to set that hearing up. The committee and the county commission and the property owner, whatever, would attend the hearing and try to come up with a plan of action in order to get this corrected. If there's no satisfaction there, and the county commission does have the legal authority to go ahead and have the property condemned and have a lien put on the property in order to have it removed. That is a last resort. What we're looking at is trying to actually help these folks and find ways to provide their local help. If it just needs cleaned up, we have some volunteer agencies here in the county that will actually help some of these folks if it just needs debris removal and cleaning and those type of things around the outside of the structures. Some minor repairs they can do to porches and a few things like that. We can try to help with that.
You said you had to find the property owner. I bet that's easy.
That can be very difficult at times. Trying to find the property owners, we try to use the tax records. We go through the tax office and stuff like that, and sometimes it's still very difficult. A lot of these properties, especially the ones that are dilapidated, may be tied up in heirship with this, and there may be multiple owners to that property. In that case, then we have to notify each and every one of those people that have a partial ownership in these properties and things. So it can be very difficult at times. A lot of the rental properties and stuff run into situations like that where some of those owners are hard to locate because they live out of the area. Just very difficult sometimes to contact these people.
So if a property has several different owners, I'm sure they'll all agree to dilapidate it.
That can be an issue also. We have ran into this a couple of times. One in particular, it was a property we ran into. We had to contact 17 different individuals. Trying to locate 17 individuals for that one piece of property was very, very difficult. We eventually was able to get it taken care of. We were able to get a hold of everyone through the other family members helped us contact some of the ones that we couldn't locate. So we were able to get that property pretty much taken care of. Actually, the owners themselves, I think, took care of that property. It didn't require any action on the county commission side or the Dilapidated Structures Committee after we identified everything and found all the property owners with that. So it was corrected.
Now, I can imagine your committee getting in touch with a tax-paying property owner and telling that property owner that they've been reported as having a dilapidated structure. I'm sure that works out good.
That can be very difficult. We've actually ran into a couple of instances like this. We are currently working with the owners on a piece of property that has been on the radar with the committee since the beginning committee. It's been on there for about 11 years now. We're in the process of getting that one taken care of. There's multiple structures on the property, and they are all completely dilapidated. This has been difficult because the individual has been resisting doing anything with those properties. Some of the other family members have worked with them and have finally convinced them that the properties need to come down primarily for safety reasons. But telling someone that is a taxpayer that has been paying their taxes on their property for a long time that they need to remove buildings is difficult, and we have to do that very tactfully in order to work with these folks and get them working with us.
You are listening to Community Matters here every Sunday morning, 8:30 in the morning on this MountainPlex Media radio station. This morning we're talking to Butch Mansfield. Now, Butch is the chairman of the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. So could somebody just report us, like say somebody's got an old barn out on some property. Can they just report like the old barn? And
the way the state code is written on this, a lot of the stuff that is farm related is not under the ordinance. So some of the farm, like the barns and things like that, unless it would be to a situation where it was ready to collapse or something like that, there is provisions written into the state code that some of the farming buildings and structures are exempt from the ordinance.
So, they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What I think may look dilapidated may not be dilapidated to somebody else. Who condemns these buildings?
What we have a county employee that is certified to go and take a look at these facilities or buildings once the complaint has come in. Once we receive that complaint, county engineer will go out and actually look at the property. They will make a determination off of a checklist that we have about the structure itself, the roof, the porches, the entire building. They will check these things off, and we've got different categories that we look at. Is it in such a bad shape that it needs to be demolished? Can the structure be saved by major repairs, minor repairs, or does it just need the debris and trash and those type of things removed from the property? The engineer will come back, he will give us the recommendations, and the committee itself then votes on whether to add that property to our dilapidated structures property list. If it is added, then at that time it's assigned a case number, and then a formal courtesy letter will go out to the individual notifying them that their property has been identified and lists the problems and ask for a plan of action on how they plan to remedy the situation.
Okay, so you found the owner. So the committee says, yes, this house is dilapidated, it is condemned, and now it needs demolished. So who's going to pay for this? The property owner? Or will the county pay for it?
Okay. There's quite a bit of different things there that can happen with this. Actually, we're looking at hopefully the folks would be able to afford to go ahead and take care of the problems themselves. If not, and the property has to be condemned and it has to be taken down and demolished, the county commission does have the right, and through state code, to put a lien on that property in order to recover the demolition fee if the property is sold. We're also identifying the properties that we can get funding for. This year in 2024, Summers County, we received $201,000 for the West Virginia DEP grant program, the DLAP program, for cleaning up dilapidated structures. We've identified 20 properties. We got 20 properties from a list that was compiled by the West Virginia Region 1 Planning and Development Commission a couple of years ago. That was 10 properties come off of that list and 10 properties off of the list that the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee has compiled. We're working right now on getting the demolition authorization and the condemnation process completed for these 20 properties in order to have them taken down. All the owners have been notified. This will be paid, these 20 demolitions will be paid for through the grant program, and it will not cost the property owners anything for that.
Okay, so they get to keep their property after all this?
Yes, they will get to keep their property. The demolition fees will be paid for through the grant program for these 20 properties.
Have you ever not been able to find the owner of a property?
Not so far. We've actually been pretty lucky with that. The properties that we do have, we've pretty much identified the owners. One of the problems we run into sometimes is getting an accurate current address for these individuals. Sometimes we can find the names of the property owner, but the current address is a little difficult sometimes to acquire.
So have you ever been in contact with a property owner and said, hey, your building's dilapidated, we want to condemn it, and the property owner says, I don't want it, you take it. I'm tired of paying taxes on it.
So far, that hasn't happened to us. I can foresee that maybe happening down the road. And we're hoping that with this funding process that we can continue working with this and hopefully continue to receive funding through these grant programs in order to help these folks get these properties cleaned up, the old buildings and stuff taken down and demolished. And hopefully we can do it in a way that it doesn't cost them a lot. They can keep their properties. It'll benefit them and us.
You're listening to Community Matters. We do it right here every Sunday morning on this MountainPlex Media radio station. Every Sunday morning, 8:30. This morning, we are talking to Butch Mansfield. Butch is the chairman of the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. And right now we're talking about who pays the bill when a building's been condemned. So, Butch, right now, I want to know, how much does it cost to demolish a building?
What we're looking at with most of the quotes and everything that we've talked, and the other counties that we've talked to, depending on the size of the building, you're usually looking somewhere from around $6,000 to $10,000. One thing that people need to understand also, that each one of these buildings, before it's demolished, has to be inspected for asbestos. So all those, they have to have an asbestos certificate showing that they are clear of asbestos before they can be demolished.
So would an old rotten single wide or a double wide trailer, can they count as a dilapidated structure?
Yes, they do. Actually, we have a couple of those on the list of the 20 properties that we're working on condemning now. And they're single wide, double wide mobile homes, some storage buildings. If it's not farm related and stuff like that, can also be considered on those for demolition.
You know, Butch, I know people that live way up a holler. They had an old, rotten single wide. They got a backhoe. They dug a hole, giant hole, and they just pushed the single wide over in the hole, covered up the hole, covered up the single wide. You don't even know it.
Yeah, that actually is probably not legal. Anything like that.
Holler,
yeah.
You don't know it.
Anything like that, any type of demo and stuff like that, has to be taken to the landfill. When these are taken down, the contractors and stuff, all of that stuff has to be hauled off and taken to an approved landfill.
We're talking to Butch Mansfield. Butch he's a committee member of the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. So, Butch, not exactly, roundabout number will be good. How many outside of the city of Hinton in the county, about how many do you have of these dilapidated structures that you're working on this list?
The list right now is comprised of approximately 283 properties that we're looking at. These are properties that were identified through Region 1 Planning and Development and also the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. So we do have a considerable amount of properties located within the county here, not in the city limits of Hinton, but actually in the county itself. Well over 200. That's a lot of properties. It's going to take us a long time to address all of these, and at the same time, we're probably going to be adding other properties as we get complaints and things like that. Currently, we are not adding any properties to the list until we get through with the 20 demos that we're working on right now. We probably won't be adding any new properties onto our list until sometime in early 2025, just because of the amount that we have, just a large number there to work with right now.
So that's about 6 months away. Can somebody go ahead and report one and you put it on?
If they report it, we will go ahead and take the complaint, and we will go ahead and have someone go and identify the property owner. We will go ahead and do that. We may hold off on adding that property to the list until after the first of the year, and just because of the amount that we're working with.
We have Butch Mansfield, chairman of the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee, in studio this morning. Hey, Butch, are there any particular roads that you're, say they're more at the top of the list to clean up than, say, a structure located 10 miles out of holler?
The committee is concentrating right now on the main highways through Summers County, which is Route 3, Route 20, and Route 3 and 12. Those are the roads coming from Shady Spring to Hinton, Athens to Hinton, and from Peterstown and Alderson to Hinton. We are working primarily on those, trying to get those cleared up along the main route. And then once we get most of those taken care of, eventually we will start expanding out and working on getting some of the other dilapidated structures taken down throughout the county on the other roads, the smaller roads.
I know this has nothing to do with the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee, but I know you said you worked with the Hinton Dilapidated Structures Committee. Just curious, about how many do you think they have on their list?
Right now, I was told by one of the committee members there at the Hinton, on the Hinton committee that they have somewhere around 100 properties here in the city that they have been working on. I know the city of Hinton has purchased some of these properties, and when they do that, then they've had demolitions and stuff taken care of. But they've actually purchased the property, and it belongs to the city of Hinton. But I think the number is somewhere around 100 properties in town.
So, Butch, exactly what is the goal and the mission of the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee?
I guess what we're really looking at with the development of the New River Gorge National Park now and our state parks, all the water activities and stuff, the tourism and stuff we have going on within the county, our primary goal is to clean up our area, get rid of the old dilapidated structures, make it more attractive to the folks that are coming in, our tourists, also for our local citizens. We have a beautiful area here, absolutely gorgeous, and plenty of resources for the tourism. And we're hoping to attract more people into our area and hopefully attract folks that want to move into this area. But our primary goal is to get it cleaned up, make it look better for everyone.
So we are talking to Butch Mansfield, chairman of the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. Butch is a man that wears many different hats. Of course, we've been talking to him this morning about dilapidated structures here in Summers County. Butch, tell us some of the other stuff that you do.
I'm currently the fire chief at Pipeston Volunteer Fire Department. I do about all of the administrative work and stuff there with the fire department, take care of all of that.
Do you do any fundraising for that?
We do some fundraising. We do raffles and different things like that for the fire department. I do run a lot of our first responder EMS calls with the fire department. I'm one of our first responders, so I do a lot of that as an EMT. Also, I'm the vice president of the Pipestem State Park Foundation. And with that, we work on acquiring funding, taking care of, help the park do special projects and stuff within the park itself. Worked with that for several years. Also, I'm a member of the Summers County Fire Board. We make recommendations and stuff there with the funding and stuff that comes in through our fire service fee and the disbursements to the individual fire departments. I'm also the secretary of the Summers County Fire Association. So with that, I take care of a lot of our paperwork, recording all the information and stuff there for our association. That pretty much covers it right now. And also, I'm a part-time dispatcher with our Summers County 911 system.
And you used to work at Pipestem State Park.
I'm retired as the building maintenance supervisor at Pipestem State Park. I worked there for approximately 38 years.
And we have been talking to Butch Mansfield. Butch Mansfield, he's been telling us all about the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee and then some. So, Butch, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, or should they get in touch with somebody else if there is a dilapidated structure that they want to report?
If they want to report, there is a complaint form listed on the Summers County government website. I believe it's there under the Summers County Dilapidated Structure Ordinance.
What is that website?
I think it is SummersCounty, You can Google it. And also there is a phone number that can call in and leave a message. And that phone number is 304-466-9245. You can leave a message, and someone with the committee then will reach out to you.
Thank you, Butch. That's Butch Mansfield. He's a committee member there for the Summers County Dilapidated Structures Committee. Thank you, Butch.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and speak with
you. You've been listening to Community Matters, a public affairs program brought to you by MountainPlex Media. Comments, questions, and suggestions for future shows can be emailed to WMTD radio stations at WMTD@mountainplex.com or WMTD radio stations. Post Office Box 100, Hinton, West Virginia, 25951. Thank you for listening to Community Matters on this MountainPlex Media radio station. The preceding public affairs program was a MountainPlex Media production.